What's up everybody, welcome to our channel. On this video we're going to be looking at Tampa, Florida. If you're thinking about moving to Tampa, this video is for you. We're going to talk about the good and the bad. A metropolitan area with almost 3.2 million people, making it the 18th largest metropolitan area in the entire country, encompassing the city of Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and vicinity. I'm going to show you guys the good and the bad, so if you're moving here, I'll give you a real idea of what this place is like. There's a handful of phony realtors making videos about Tampa, so I thought I could make a real video in case you're curious about the city, and even more importantly if you're moving here so you can get some real information. Surrounded by water, it's magnificent from the beaches of Clearwater even into Sarasota. There's incredible beaches in this area. So if you like to enjoy the water and the views, Tampa has more than you can handle. One of the biggest pluses of Tampa is the diversity and how welcoming and well integrated the city is. You should really be able to feel comfortable in Tampa. It's a great place for people who have a little bit of money, especially younger couples. If you're working class or middle class, then it's a little bit different. This city will not disappoint you. There's a lot to explore, and it should take you a few years to get familiar with the entire metropolitan area, even if you're trying to see it all. The neighborhoods are diverse in income, in demographics, in architecture. There's so much to absorb here. You'll have plenty to soak in. Founded by Cubans and Italians, there's also a rich history here. At times, the city was overrun by mobs. From the production of authentic Cuban cigars to being run by crime families, there's a lot to learn about the city's history. Some neighborhoods are gorgeous and beautiful and very expensive, and other neighborhoods are going through their struggles as well. From what's happened here historically to what's going on here presently, there's a lot of information on this video you need to know. Just like crossing the Mackinac Bridge, crossing the Skyway Bridge in Tampa is one of those experiences you'll treasure for the rest of your life. It is an incredible experience to go up that bridge and see the entire Tampa Bay area from up there. No two experiences of doing that are going to be the same. Sometimes the weather's different, sometimes there's giant boats underneath you. There's always something different in the horizon, the sunset, the time of day that makes each crossing of this bridge special. In the distance, the skyline of Tampa and of St. Petersburg will catch your attention, and you'll have to cross another smaller bay before you get back into Tampa if you're on the interstates. Whether you're on Fort DeSoto or Anna Maria Island, there is more than one impressive angle to see this structure from. If you like fishing or being on the water, fishing that Skyway Bridge pier though, I don't recommend it. I've never caught anything. When I've gone there, I've never seen anybody else catch anything. For some reason, it's just a crappy fishing spot. Once you get into St. Petersburg, there's a lot to soak in as well. The city has a modest skyline. It's not incredible, but the downtown district is really large, and there's a lot of dining, shopping, and other touristy crap to do here. Downtown St. Petersburg is actually one of the largest downtowns in the entire state. It's a grid pattern, easy to understand, lots of stuff to see if you like going into stores and shopping and dining. The city really is catering to tourism. In fact, I'm pretty sure that downtown St. Petersburg, as far as the area you can walk around and dine in and sidewalks and stuff like that, is probably larger than what you'll find in Tampa. The St. Petersburg Pier is worth checking out, and walking that little area downtown between the pier and downtown, great areas to walk. Now, St. Pete is not perfect. One of the good things that it has going for it is incredible architecture. This city has some of the most beautiful homes you're going to find in the entire state of Florida, and the districts are really large. If you like to look at older Florida homes, there's so much to soak in St. Pete. It's incredible, and I love it. Now, what I don't like about the neighborhoods, especially the residential ones within the city, is how trashy some of the neighborhoods can be. Like, you'll literally have brand new houses on one side of the road and the straight up hood on the other. That is called a contrast neighborhood. where you have really nice properties adjacent to really crappy ones, and that also means you have really high crime rates. Even though you live in a really nice house, contrast neighborhoods also make it very difficult to know the exact value of a property. Most likely, if you're on the buying end, you'll get the bad end of that deal. For some reason, I found people in St. Pete to be extraordinarily rude, disrespectful, and just nasty, both in person and in the comment sections. It's also an older city, doesn't have a lot of space to grow because of its geographical location, so you have a lot of older buildings. Hopping on over to Clearwater, there's a lot of great beachside locations in this area. For some reason, I have found people in Clearwater to be a whole lot nicer. Not sure why. There's a lot of great little beaches here, from Treasure Island to Madera Beach to Indian Shores. There's so many little spots along Clearwater. And it seems to have a little bit less traffic than Tampa. It's just a little bit more calm and quiet. The sands here are generous for miles. Even if you're not thinking about moving to the Tampa area, if you like to visit Florida, this is a spot at some point you have to hit up. The area of Clearwater and Dunedin are areas I really like. Really quiet, just a little bit slower pace than the rest of the Tampa metro area. This area has suffered from the red tide, just like the rest of the west coast of Florida. There's a lot of environmental issues threatening the Tampa Bay area. The coastal areas, which used to be the most attractive real estate properties, are now kind of leaving people wondering if they really are, considering that they're most adjacent to the water, which is contaminated. It's a huge mess. Both St. Pete and Clearwater have neighborhoods that are a little bit rougher. Let's hop on over to Tampa, one of my favorite areas in the entire state of Florida. These neighborhoods in Tampa also have a lot of character. You'll find charming neighborhoods all over the Tampa area. From South Tampa to Old Seminole Heights, there's so many little neighborhoods right in the center of the city. Just get off the main roads and explore a little bit. You'll find some great areas. Kind of odd, however, you're kind of surrounded by really rough areas, especially along the main roads. There's no real logic or order to neighborhoods in Tampa. Some areas like the west side have good and bad parts. The east side have good and bad parts. It's just kind of like a huge mess. You really have to just kind of pin it into the particular neighborhood and kind of feel it out before you make a purchase. Now, they're not contrast neighborhoods like in St. Petersburg, where one side of the road's bad and the other side of the road's good. Tampa's more structured and defined. You can kind of find a really quiet neighborhood kind of in the middle of the city. Kind of just relax in your quiet backyard and hear some gunshots in the distance. I have to notice while making this video how much I love Tampa. It's a city with so much character and so many different neighborhoods. A while back, you could get a decent house for like $113,000 in Tampa. Those days are long gone. Today, Tampa is kind of a competitive labor force. They're starting to build some stuff up and around Lakeland if you need warehouse jobs, something like that. The area doesn't really offer as much as other cities its size. And to be honest, for the working class people and those in the lower income brackets, I have heard people who have lived in Tampa tell me they absolutely hated it. Not only how hard it was to make a living there, but also how ghetto and trashy some of the main streets and areas you have to go into can be. It's still a big city, but hey, one of the things that makes Tampa incredible is their food. Cuban sandwiches is what the city is mostly known for, and really it should be called a Tampa sandwich because it's more of a Tampa thing than a Cuban thing. Really, the Italians would call it a Cuban sandwich because it went on Cuban bread. As a real Cuban, I like a steak sandwich. In fact, some of the ingredients of a Cuban sandwich, the way it's made in Tampa, are not even ingredients you can get in Cuba. They're things you can only get in Tampa. You'll find Cuban sandwiches being pressed all over the Tampa area, even as far north as Spring Hill and Williston, so it's really spreading throughout Central Florida. I'm not going to tell you that Papi's makes the best one because it probably isn't. It's just the one that I like to go to. As long as it's on some real Cuban bread and it's got some meat in it, I'm ready to go. Other than that, off of Armenia in Tampa, there's also a large population of Colombians, and I definitely recommend you try Colombian food while you're in Tampa. Cubans and Puerto Ricans are the two largest Latino groups here. South Florida is known for Cubans, Central Florida is known for Puerto Ricans. In the case of Tampa, the Cuban and Puerto Rican community are very close, and it's almost like it's one big group of people that are just mixed in. It's like a giant melting pot culturally here. It's not uncommon to meet somebody who's like like New Jersey Italian with like Cuban and Puerto Rican and Dominican, Colombian, all that mixed in. And a lot of the whites that are from here have a lot of Cuban descendancy. The same thing goes for African Americans. A lot of African Americans from Tampa are actually Afro-Cuban. So there's a huge melting pot here. It's a city where you can just feel comfortable no matter who you are, where you are. And that's one thing that I love about Tampa. It's an attractive place for diversity because of that, and it makes Tampa a great place. Even though Tampa has a smaller Hispanic population than Miami, it has just as much Latin businesses and things to do and culture to absorb as Miami. Being a much older city than Miami, Tampa has much more affordable housing. Tampa is a much older city, and there are a lot of older historic neighborhoods. If you are moving to Tampa, I really recommend that you have a job lined up. Florida is a very competitive job market. If you're coming from a large city in the Northeast, you may find yourself surprised at how little opportunity there is here. In Tampa and St. Pete, you can actually grow mangoes and a lot of tropical fruits, but as soon as you get like 10 miles inland, the change in weather is dramatic. Like even in Spring Hill, you'll get frost on your windows. You'll notice that a lot of neighborhoods will have newer houses. That doesn't exactly mean it's a great neighborhood. You'll have to use a lot of discretion to find out if the neighborhood you're looking at is good or bad. If you're really with the sensibilities, I definitely recommend Wesley Chapel, which is a suburb kind of far north of Tampa. The area of Pebble Creek is also really nice. Traffic along 54 and 52 east to west is horrible north of Tampa. And anything along Interstate 4 from Tampa to Orlando, Lakeland, Plant City is incredibly crappy traffic. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of good stuff from Tampa. But there's one thing about Tampa, one event that happened that changed the way I looked at Tampa. And it was hard for me to understand, even to this day, after a lot of meditation, how the people of a town could destroy their own town. I don't even think Tampa's that racist of a place. I think a lot of people took advantage of the riots to steal and loot. But I did meet a lot of very angry people during this time period in Tampa. And it changed the way I looked at Tampa forever, because not every town destroyed their malls, gas stations, and just about every liquor store, every single gun shop, every pawn shop, and the entire city was vandalized, broken into, and looted. That is a serious problem. There's a lot of delinquency and crime in Tampa. And even more concerning, it's not just crackheads and people begging. There's real crime in Tampa. There's organized crime groups that are working on credit card frauds, car theft rings, boat theft rings, massive DTOs, which is drug trafficking organizations, which also specialize in other types of crimes. There's even real estate crimes. There's realtors. There's just a massive amount of crime in Tampa that is very well organized. And even on a street level, they're not just robbing the local gas station. I mean, they're making big moves. Every city has its culture around crime, and Tampa has historically been a mob city. So your neighborhood local gang, they're not just selling a little bit of grass on a street corner, they're making some big moves. Riverview is a fast-growing suburb of Tampa on the east side. Used to be just a small town, but it's growing fast. There's over 100,000 people living here. Demographically, it's about the most bland and average town in the state of Florida, representing the state just about perfectly. It's the most Florida town in Florida, I guess. There's a lot of gated communities and subdivisions that all look the same. Like I said before, it's just about as average of a place as you'll get in Florida. If you just want to live in a place that's absolutely neutral and has nothing outstanding or different about it, just blends in perfectly, this is your place for sure. Riverview Teen is the first female to score a touchdown in a Florida football game. I guess now they let females play football. Well, I guess if your daughter wants to play football, there's no reason why she couldn't. On the far north side of Tampa is the suburb of Spring Hill. It has the largest pigeon racing club in the United States. It's about 99% guys in these pigeon racing clubs. There are some females. I just think girls are into different stuff than guys, and pigeon racing and football really aren't stuff that girls are into. But there's no rules that say you can't join a pigeon club if you're a female. Very few actually do it though. If you live in Spring Hill, you're going to need 2 new cars on your driveway. It is a far drive to Tampa. There's a toll road and it's kind of expensive, but it's got a whole lot less traffic than getting on 75. If the commute and your stressful suburban life doesn't make you just want to let the weight of the world swallow you, then a sinkhole will. This is a sinkhole capital of America. Sinkhole is where the ground just swallows your house. If that isn't the stuff of nightmares, I don't know what is. So if you're not afraid to just disappear with house and all into the sand, this might be a good place for you to consider living. Pigeons, sinkholes, long commutes. What else can I say about Spring Hill? When I did my Tampa hood videos, the amount of love and appreciation that I got from the Tampa videos, like I probably Tampa videos are the videos that have got the most views for like a drive-through of any place that I've ever done. The same thing can be said about Jacksonville. And it's not like when I do a video in the Deep South, you have all these stupid comments. Like there's no stupid comments. Like everybody from the community generally appreciates me going to their community. I want to leave this last little bit of the video to talk a little bit about the history of Tampa. Ybor City is kind of like the old Cuban neighborhood. And again, it's kind of a rough area, especially the residential area surrounding it. But the city has put a lot of effort into kind of making this a nice little area. There's Cuban cigar shops. There's Cuban restaurants. There's a lot of Cuban and Italian history here. And I also recommend you take the time to look at some of those statues they have. Look at some of those historical markers so you can understand the importance of the Cuban community in Tampa. Tampa is a very important place for Cubans in the United States from a historical aspect. Miami has a larger Cuban population, but it doesn't have the importance, the significance historically that Tampa does. So I really recommend you go to Ybor City and you take the time to spend, a little bit of time and check out those historical markers. Learn about those last names of those families that own those cigar shops, that own all those businesses, and those Cubans that basically, alongside Italians and a few other groups, kind of founded the city of Tampa, giving it a unique ethnic composition that no other city in the United States has. I definitely recommend, if you're new to the Tampa area, that you take the time to explore this neighborhood and learn about its history. What I like about Tampa is that it encompasses a small fraction of what the United States is. In Detroit, Michigan, they have Greek. A little bit further up in Michigan, they have Norwegian. In New York, they have Italian. In Louisiana, they speak French. The United States is a melting pot of different nationalities and cultures. Tampa, with its mix, is no different than Boston, Detroit, Chicago, or any large city in this country. Well, there it is. Everything you need to know about Tampa if you're moving there. I hope this video will give you a different insight about the city than what these other YouTubers are doing. Alright, there it is. The most honest review you're going to get on Tampa.